Hello, everyone. We're so glad to have you here today. This is another one of our Friday forums with Jamie and Cyndy, and I have more news to share with you. Welcome, Jamie. How are you doing today?
Good, honey. It's a cold, dreary, nasty, ugly day in wild, wonderful West Virginia, so I hope your weather's better than mine.
Well, so I'm not going to tell you about the nice, sunny, 90-degree weather that we have here in Central California, right?
Yeah.
We're just hoping it doesn't get over 100 too quick. So we've got lots of people. Tell us who's in the house. We started this last week. In the chat, put your first name and where you're located, and just tell us, if you're an IEC, a school counselor, work for a nonprofit, just tell us who we have here. So we have Pam from Sandy Spring, Maryland, Plano, Chicago. Oh, look at all this, Jamie. And we have Chris.
No, I saw Jim Overton. Hi, Jim. I love Jim.
He's the best. He is you guys, Venezuela. We're so glad to have you. Vermont, Houston, Santiago. Oh my gosh, you guys are just joining us from all over. We've got Jerry from Fresno. I'm so glad to see people from Central California. And this is just so exciting. Jamie, we had well over 300 people sign up for today.
And they just wanted to listen to little old us.
I know, exactly.
I'm telling you this, we're like the fun girls coming over from Mount Pilot. Everybody's supposed to come hear us.
And Krista's with us. She is going to be managing your questions. So if you have questions, comments, things to contribute to the conversation, put them in chat. If there are questions you want us to address, we tried to address them. We got a lot we're going to talk about today, but use the question for that section as well. So Orange County, Chico, Cape Cod, we just, as you log in, go ahead and put in your location and where you're from, and we're just so glad to have you.
I'm so geographically disadvantaged, I don't know where half these places are.
Oh, well, see, now is your time to learn geography, Jamie.
I know. Somebody emailed me and asked me if I worked with international people. I'm like, Paris, Kentucky's about as international as I get. No, I don't do anything international.
So we have Bangalore, India. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine what time zone you're in, if you're in India or China or, even in the Europe. So this is just so great. So I hope everybody's doing okay. I hope everybody's, we may not be thriving during this whole COVID-19, but at least surviving. And I hope you're well, and I hope that, your family and people around you are well. I live in Central California, but we have a nursing home, several nursing homes in our area, and they have the largest concentration of COVID-19 in the whole state of California. And this place is, and I think I've mentioned this, is like down the street from my house. So I am staying home. And you can see the PS4 stuff behind me. The boys our grandkids are playing PS4. So we're all good. All right. Are we ready to get going, Jamie? Yep. Okay. And it looks like we've got questions already rolling in. So Barb's already asked a question about NACAC. Well, let's hold that, and we're going to talk about NACAC and some things that are going on. So let me share my screen. Let me see if I can get this going right. And share. All right. So everybody should be seeing Friday Forum. Is that what you're seeing? Put in the chat. Let me make sure. Let me find all my little buttons here. Yeah, where did my chat go? There it is. No. All right. There we go. Nope. I love it on Zoom. You start putting things on, and then things disappear. So, all right. So we are going to do this. And let's everybody. All right. Well, I will figure it out. That is really, okay. Well, I have lost the chat. So Jamie will have to.
You've lost the what? The chat.
The chat. So I can't see what everybody's saying.
Oh, well, they're not saying anything. They're just saying.
Okay.
They're just. I mean, I can tell you this: it's 11:30 p.m. in Bangladesh.
Oh my gosh! Oh, you're a dedicated person. Dedicated people.
They're just saying where they're from. They're not saying anything major.
Great. Well,
nobody's complaining.
Okay, well, good. I hope you let me know if you can't hear me or something. So many of you have joined us on previous occasions. If this is your first time, we're really glad to have you. This is our Friday forum. We've been doing them for the last, I think this is our fourth one, Jamie, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so we've just been doing them every Friday. My name is Cyndy McDonald. I've been an education consultant. I've been a counselor. I've been a middle school counselor. So if you've done that, you know what that's like. I teach for UCLA, so many of you are my students. A shout out to you. I'm glad to have you here. I've worked in Avid and just done a lot of different things. And I'm proud to be a female entrepreneur. And Jamie has been a big part of that, helping me to wear that badge proudly. And I hope that those of you that have your own practices, your own businesses, or thinking about doing that sometime in your future will wear that badge proudly as well. Jamie is from West Virginia. She is an MBA, something I'd never, ever be able to achieve. She's got an emphasis in finance from Marshall University, and you've been doing this for over 20 years, right?
Yes, 22 years now.
And Jamie's got a tutoring center and does a lot of different things. So we're both glad to be your co-host for this, and Krista Green is helping us with questions and things that on the end too. So I always put this slide at the end, but I've discovered that I never get to the end. So I put it here so that you have our email addresses, have ways to contact us, see some of the services and things that we offer as well. So Jamie's got a mastermind group and an IAC boot camp. I haven't started yet, but I'm going to be offering online courses. I'm going to offer a master class as well. So we're out here to help really serve you and provide for your needs as professionals. Our goal is to get a bird's eye view of the week's news, cut through the clutter. We get inundated with emails and notices and webinars. So we're going to try and cut through the clutter, give you our personal take, because we don't have any opinions, right, Jamie? We don't think anything about this at all, right?
I got an opinion on everything.
That's why I love you. So we're going to give our personal take on the week's news, provide a forum for asking questions and sharing your take. So help us out each week. Come join us. And we're just going to do this as long as it takes. So today, we're going to do the price. We're going to talk about admissions, and I just did the welcome. We're going to have a discussion on pricing. So I think many of you are probably very interested in that. And unfortunately, Jamie has informed me that today is going to be your last day doing Friday Forum with me. So tell us why you're leaving us, Jamie.
We're going to go back to work. Thank God. So everybody knows, everybody's been on this whole journey with us, and I've tried every way in the world to get unemployment, PPP loan, EIDL loan. I can tell you to date, I've not received 1 red cent. So I've just decided that I cannot depend on the government to keep my business going. I'm just going to have to roll up my shirt sleeves and put a little hard-earned work into it like I used to do when I first opened. So the governor gave us the green light that Monday is our first day that we can open the tutoring center. I still can't open the yoga studio yet, but and so the June ACT is still on, so we're getting a lot of people for that. So that starts next week. So I'm just going to be busy. Not that I don't love you, but if people want to join my mastermind group, we usually do those the third Friday of the month. So you can always just go to IEC Advisors and send Krista, you can fill out the form that says you're interested. We don't let everybody join our mastermind because, I mean, y'all know I only like people that are in this to make money and to treat it as a business. So we have like criteria that we have before we let people in the mastermind, but it's a great extension of the boot camp. So if anybody is interested in that, then that would be good. But yep, we are going back to work, and you and I were talking before about the difference in pricing, like before and after Corona. So whenever it's my turn, I will get to that. But yeah, but I really appreciate you, Cyndy, including me in on this, because I think this is really things that people need to know. You know, I eat, live, and breathe this stuff. This is how I make a living. I don't have a husband, don't have anybody else bringing money in the house. And so, you know, I got to be top of my game at this, because this is, especially in West Virginia, I mean, my gosh, like our average income here is like $30,000. So it's tough, but you can do it. So I really appreciate you being in California, me being here, and everything between, you know, just giving these people the confidence that they can be in business and do great.
Well, thank you. And that's what our combined goal is to look at this and approach it from the business side as well as the education side. So we're hoping you'll be able to come back as, you know, later at other times and participate. And I found the chat.
If you need a filler inner, just
okay. All right. Oh, goodness. So I just wanted to, some of you have seen my emails this week, but now I'm posting these forums on a podcast. So I'm excited. They're way too long for a normal podcast, but I figured let's get going. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. So you could, if you've missed some episodes, you can go back while you're fixing dinner, when you're out walking your dog, you can listen to past forum podcasts. And I already have today's PowerPoint on our website. So as I talk about things, you're wondering about links and all, I've already posted it. That posting will be updated after today when we get the recording. We have some documents, I have some documents to share. And of course I have some other interviews that I'm going to share. So just a little heads up on that. May 8th, we're going to have Christine Bowman, the Dean of Admissions. She's going to be coming. Suzanne says there's no such thing as too long of a podcast. So that I'm glad to hear. So Christine Bowman, dear friend of mine, she's Dean of Admissions and Enrollment Services. She's the chair of Colleges That Change Lives Board, and she's at Southwestern University. She's going to give us a private school perspective, and Tony Sarda, Director of Undergraduate and Graduate Admissions, is going to give us the public school. So they're going to be joining me as my guest next week. I have a few slides to show and some surveys that have been done on what's going to be happening in, you know, what surveys are showing is going to be happening in admissions. You know, today's May 1, so we have questions on that, but they're going to be joining us next week. Okay, are you ready? Let's get going and talk about admissions updates. So I want to ask you these questions. So I'm going to launch a poll, and let's talk about, as a group, what your May 1, today is May 1. So let's talk about it from a May 1 roundup. I'm going to launch polling. I'm going to count down, and I want to see from our audience, you know, am I the only one who never hears from their seniors? I'm really curious. So I want to see what your May 1 is looking like. So you should be able to vote and put in your answer. And there is a number of questions, so we'll give you a little bit of time. And none of this is exact. Have you heard from all your seniors, Jamie?
Honey, I call them.
Hey, I've texted them. And I have not called all of them yet.
We call, we text, we email. Yeah, we stay in close contact with them. So the majority of them, I still have a few who haven't made up their mind. But you always got your little procrastinators. Lady Gaga's got her monsters. I got my little procrastinators. So they're good. Yeah, I always make them come home to mommy here a little bit.
Yes. Latifa, one of our parents, said she's only working with one senior, and that's very, very true. And then she has kids at home too. So, and if you're growing, you're building your practice, then that's, you've got that one thing. And then this gives you something to look forward to. So how are we doing? We've got 2/3 of you have voted. I'm going to give you a few more minutes, continue going through. I know there's a lot of questions here, but it'll give us data to use for discussion. So while everybody's doing that and looking at that, I'm also been emailing with IECA this week. I haven't contacted HECA yet, but I'm going to run a poll just through the whole industry and see how people are feeling about college admissions now that it's May 1. What did their students decide? How is it being affected by COVID-19? So be watching your email box for a poll similar to this to just gather information. How are we all doing and what are our students saying? All right, we've got 72%. We're 2 minutes in. I don't want to spend tons of time. So I'm going to count down to 5. And then if you haven't voted, quickly put in some answers. So 5.
Hey, Cyndy, let me ask you something before you start counting, because I just now thought about it.
All right.
I schedule a wrap-up meeting with all my seniors in April. So from April 1st to May 1st, I think this year, Krista can tell you more than my count, but I think I had 85 seniors this year.
Wow.
So do you not schedule okay, let's just come in for a wrap-up meeting at the end?
I try.
Yeah.
But a lot of times because I'll send them emails or I'll send them assignments that say you need to meet with your counselor, here's your next steps. But it's like crickets. I don't hear, are you there? Are you there? So in the past, this year I don't have very many seniors. So I only had 6. So I've had a much smaller number. Next year I've got more than double already. So I'm full already for next year because I tried to reduce my number and now I've driven it back up. I send gift cards. I send them an email and say the first 5 students who send me back their information, I will send a Starbucks card. And I will tell you that generates a lot. Now I don't tell the students I will send them a Starbucks card to everybody that responds. But if I give them a deadline, give them an incentive, and tell them they're going to be the only ones to get it, I usually get pretty good response. So,
and then, you know what? If they don't come and you got their money, then
I feel bad, and I want to know how they did. I want to know. Some of them I know, and some, some I don't.
I tell you another thing you can do, which is what Krista does. They go out and look at their Facebook page, their Instagram page, and if there's any that we don't know, my staff will just go figure out where they're going. But it's you listen, and my favorite thing is when they come in and don't know where they want to go. I get so excited. When they come in, I'm do you know where you want to go? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I love when they can no go. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it when you don't know where you're going. So I have to whip out my crystal ball on them. You've seen my crystal ball. I whip out my crystal ball and I do my eeny, beeny, chili, beanie. Where are we going to go? I love it. It's fun.
That is great. That is really great. And Michelle says that the ones haven't decided have schools that have June 1 deadlines now. And that's very true. Many of them haven't decided for that reason. So you should be seeing my results. And it looks like 60% know where your students are. So I'm still feeling a little lonely out here. We have 21% and 16% that know pretty much, seniors what seniors. Yeah, I have that. I have to reach out to most of them. One of them I reached out to, and her mom was so excited, and she emailed me back. She's like, yeah, she's going to UCLA. Well, that was nice to find out, and she got into all these schools and they were very happy, but, I really had to pry to get that. Okay, so of the students you've heard from, how many were admitted to one of their top 3 choices? This is always a big thing. We put on our websites, we put in our advertising and our marketing. 35% said all of them, 57% said most of them. So, that's what, 90% over 90%. So that's very impressive. And a couple said none of them. So that's not surprising in this day and age, How many of your students changed their mind about their first choice school? Look at this, 82%, 82%. And then you have another, had somebody, 82% had somebody, 0 to 3 change their minds. Another 14%, 4 to 6. So we had a large number. Well, I guess that's a 0 to 3. So very few changed their minds. Let me retract and rephrase this. How many of your students changed their minds about the first choice school? 0 to 3 was 82%. So not very many. There's a few, the 14%, quite a few in the 7-10 range was only 4%. So nobody had 10 or more students. So that does give an indication. And as I look at the data that I'm going to share with you, that coincides with the data that's being shared. So those of you that have had people change their minds, know that you're not alone. Those of you that students have said, okay, we're set, know that that really is quite the trend. So now, what about wait lists? 50% of you said you have 1 to 3 students on wait list. And so, and look the numbers down from 10 to 18 students on wait list. Some that are on 18 or more students on wait lists. So that's not surprising. We're going to see lots and lots of wait lists this year. And then the next question is, how many have already been taken off the wait list? Nobody's gotten, the 0 is 49%. That's the majority. 1 to 5 is 47%. So some people have already been taken off. I mean, we're up to almost half of the respondents. So, that's interesting to see too. So wait list is, going to be big, and we expect wait lists are going to go on probably till August or September. I was talking to a former director of admissions, and she's probably on the call right now, and she was telling me how she actually, they could pull students off the wait list like the first week of school. And, and I've seen that happen in many other schools too. So Larry said he had a student appeal a rejection of WashU, and they were put on the wait list. So they appealed and then were put on a wait list. So that is very true. All right. So I just wanted to give you guys a feel for what was going on out there and how things were going, and basically see if let you know your students are not alone and you're not alone. I'm alone, but I'm in Central California. Okay. So what will the fall bring? This is what we're students. Today is the first. Many of them have made decisions. Many of them are still waiting. What's the fall going to bring? There's an article this week by John Barnshaw. He's the Vice President of Research and Data Science at Astra. And I've got a link I have a link slide at the end of the presentation today. All of this is already posted on the website. It has all the links to all of these things that I'm talking about. So you have all the links, they're all in one place. I figured it might be easier to stick them in one place than to put them on all the slides. But he identified 4 things that colleges, they've surveyed all these colleges. They have a huge report that they put together that I'm going to share a couple of things for you, but this is in the in the links. But there are 4 things they identified. Safety of faculty and students in mind. This is what colleges have to keep in mind to open in the fall. How are the student institutions going to adapt? What are they going to do? What is that going to look like? They are developing multiple contingencies simultaneously. What about A? Here's plan A, B, C, G, double X. You know, how are they going to handle that? And they're striving to balance risk and a successful semester. So, you know, how much exposure are we willing to do? How much risk? You know, they're just trying to balance all that. And so that's the key to the whole question of, you know, what's going to happen in the fall. So here's the drum roll. From that survey and many other surveys, the statistics show that there were 90% of the students, or 90% of the colleges, let me put it that way, reported no delay in admissions decisions. The COVID-19 didn't delay people making decisions, making commitments and making deposits. We're going to talk about that with Christine and Tony next week. The other thing that the survey showed is about the fall course delivery. What are colleges considering? Going online, over half have considered, already decided that they're going to go online. Some have decided to change the number of in-person courses, and some have decided to increase the number of online or remote courses, so 73%. So basically things are going to change. When we go back, whenever that is, or whatever it looks like, it's not going to be the old normal. We're all going to have a new normal. So 94%, how are the colleges in their admissions practices looking at this? And one of the questions from last week and that I see on the listservs this week is like, so many kids are doing pass fail, credit, no credit, you know, they're ending school early. In California, we're thinking about starting school in July, and, you know, just all these different scenarios. So 94% of the college admissions offices are considering or have made changes to their admission practices. And then here are some, ways that they're doing it. You know, are they going to allow passes or other non-qualitative grades on high school transcripts to satisfy admissions requirement? You know, have you met that math requirement? Have you met that English? They've extended enrollment deposit deadlines. We know about that. Deadlines for submitting the final transcript. 53% will now use or consider using an unofficial high school transcript. I think that's great. Over 2/3 have moved or considered moving to online or remote course placement testing. You know, we're going to place students. How are they going to do that? So you can see there's a lot of changes that I think will ripple through because of COVID-19, and they'll stay. Once they make those changes, they'll stay. So those are, and I see a comment said those numbers exceed 100%. It's because they're all from different questions. And it's just a summary from the report that said, here's what the colleges are looking at. So yeah, they are going to count total up more than 100% just because they're all from different questions. But things are going to change. Things, if we know it and as our students know it, so especially for our younger students, you know, what their older siblings go through is going to be much different than what they're going to go through. And so we as advisors are going to have to adapt to that. So what are the colleges going to do? So there is a huge deadline this morning, there was a huge headline this week that said Harvard will be open for fall 2020. And Brown University published an article, many of you probably saw it, said colleges, campuses must reopen in the fall, and here's how we do it. And, you know, Harvard said, here's what we're doing to plan. And there's a list of schools. Here are all these schools that said, yes, we are going to be on campus in the fall. But you know what? And I saw this in the listserv, and this is kind of what our goal is to kind of summarize all this and just kind of get down to the nitty gritty. And John Beckenstadt, who used to be at DePaul, now is at Oregon State, he wrote in the NACAC listserv, the only plans are no one knows. We're making educated guesses. We know everything can change in a few days' time. And that's why when we go back to the others, like they're making contingency upon contingency upon contingency. That's it. I know it's not what people want to hear, but speaking with clarity is impossible, and trying to do so is arrogant. So he has no opinions either, right? And I thought this was interesting. This is from another, the article that Astra came from. He said, like, don't pay attention to what colleges are saying now. What we need to do is wait and see what they're saying 2 months from now. So all these schools that say, yes, we're going to be on campus, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, let's wait and see. What is it going to look like? Because so much depends on what's happening and how things are. You know, and every state is doing things different now. You know, we're not going back to work in California. I know many other states, you know, their shelter in place are changing and adapting. So, you know, let's just wait and see. No one has answers. And that's basically really, it doesn't matter which colleges announce. They are, they aren't. You know, it's interesting, but there's no certainty for sure. So what about test waivers? We've got more of those. More jumped on the bandwagon. USC said, okay, tests are not required, but they're considered. And I thought it was helpful because they're one of the few colleges that I noticed that tell you, well, if you're an international student, here's what you do. It's still not required. So those of you that work with international students, a lot of times it may be test optional for domestic, but not international. USC says both. But if you're homeschooled, they still need some kind of test, an AP, a subject test or something. And they said, well, we're going to do it this year, and maybe we'll see what happens after that. Claremont McKenna said they were going to do the test waiver, but they didn't tell you in their notice, and maybe somebody knows that whether they would consider if it's submitted or not, it's not clear. So if it's, you know, if they don't say so, I'm presuming that it will be considered if you submit it. But what's really interesting, and many of you have probably picked up on this, is now what's happening. College Board, ACT have announced, well, if we can't submit, you know, do the test, we're going to go to a home version. Both College Board has said that, and ACT has made that, you know, publicized that for the fall. Colleges are now starting to take position on that. Claremont McKenna came out and said they will not use at-home tests for SAT or ACT. And so here's the quote from the Claremont McKenna website. And that is, you know, they are not going to take it, and they're not the only one. Cornell expressed in a very long, very lengthy, very wordy post. This only Cornell or one of the other Ivy League schools can do. They expressed in a very nice way concern about online testing. And basically it boiled down to, they didn't talk to us about it ahead of time. So it kind of came out of the blue. That didn't make them happy. This method of testing hasn't been validated ever. So that has them concerned and jittery. What about equity and access? You know, that hasn't been discussed. And, you know, Cornell said, well, you can submit your scores if you take the home version, if you're happy with your scores or not. I'm not really sure what to make of that. So, you know, those are two, and there may be others that I didn't catch this week. But if they go for the home, you know, test, then I don't know how many are going to really accept them. Then that adds a whole nother wrinkle into our whole college counseling. So, then I see a number of questions coming in. I'll address a couple of these. So somebody asked, Tina asked, with more schools going test optional, you know, how do we help students build a balanced list without the testing score as a data point? You know, that becomes a really good question, and something that, you know, how do you factor all that in? And it's not, there's no cut and dried answer on that. So even NACAC joined the fray this week. So they published, the president published a opinion piece, like, is it time to, do away with standardized testing. And then I don't know, many of you who are here in California, I got an email from WACAC that said, here, read this from NACAC. So I think WACAC joined the fray, and I'm wondering if other ACACs did too. So did you hear anything? Did you get any emails, Jamie, from your region? What AC, are you in a ACAC there at all? Like a regional NACAC group?
I don't belong to one.
Okay, yeah.
I think I'm the PCACAC.
Oh, okay.
I think West Virginia is like a lost soul. I don't think we belong like in anywhere, but I believe if I had to belong to one, I would be in the PCACAC. But to be honest with you, I don't belong to any of the associations anymore. I'm just a vendor with boot camp. So, I mean, I just felt like people were saying it was a conflict, that I had a boot camp to teach people to be more successful in their business. So I just said, you know what? I don't need the association. I'll just be a vendor. So I don't belong to any of them. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. So Diana says there are colleges who have said that changes are initially in place for 1 to 3 years. And you guys in the chat, go ahead and just put comments to everybody so everybody can see them. Because right now I'm seeing a lot of comments to panelists. And if it's something you want to share, just share it out to everybody. Colleges are major economic drivers in a lot of communities. That's very true. So it's important, since one job will create 2 to 5 other jobs. Oh, absolutely. It's just a matter of what is that going to look like and how is that going to happen. I don't know how they can, just unconditionally say, yes, we're going to be there. It's like Liberty University just refusing to shut down, and then they ended up with all these COVID cases. So that's very true. I wonder if USC's message to homeschoolers imitates that they welcome the CLT test score. I don't know anything about that, but there's very possibility. And so maybe, Catherine, you can put something in the chat, a link to what CLT is and how that affects homeschoolers. And then Michelle's asking, do you have any insight on how the CSUs will determine index for acceptance? Just GPA? Yeah, Suzanne, I don't know if she's on the call today, but she used to work at CSU, so she's been keeping track of that. Maybe Suzanne, if you're on, you can post some things. And I think we're just gonna have to wait and see what the CSUs start doing. So, all right, so let's go on, because I wanna make sure we have time. Colleges accepting the AP credits. Prompt has created a table I just found out about. So this is in the link too. So they have a whole list of all the colleges. It's well over 100. So I don't think accepting the AP is going to be as much of an issue as the SAT and ACT. All right, so every week I give the week's prizes. So the last 2 weeks, ACT has gotten it. And I know, Jamie, you want that June ACT test to go.
Don't wish they canceled that test. I'm making money on that test. I don't care.
I wish you.
Take it mask with them.
I wish you well. I wish you well. I don't know where my students in California would take it, but maybe they'll fly out to West Virginia.
That's not my problem. That's not my problem.
So this week I'm going to give the prize, and I've named it the Future Focuser to NACAC. Finally, they've taken a stand. They don't often do that because they have a lot of colleges. I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot at stake when they take a stand. So for them to publish an article or opinion piece by the president of NACAC that says maybe it's time to do away with standardized tests is really exceptional. So I'm going to give my Future Focuser prize to NACAC this week. And this week, I'm going to take ACT off the head in the sand and give it to Brown, because they announced they're must be on campus, and her intentions were good. And really this is somewhat tongue in cheek and just in jest, but they must be on campus in the fall. Well, I think COVID-19 is going to have a little bit more to say than what we must or must not do. So I think it's more of, here's what we want to have happen, and that's great. And any way they can make it happen, that'll be fine.
I think the problem is at least from what I'm hearing from my people, and somebody posted something about people were depositing to their local university and they're out of state because, like, listen, nobody knows what's going to happen with that. If the kids can't be on campus in the fall, you know, and I got a kid here that's going to go to the University of Colorado Boulder, you know, why would parents pay out of state tuition if the kid's sitting up here in their kitchen doing the classes? So I think there's so much uncertainty out there for parents that they are double depositing and they are making plan B, and they are doing it because I agree right now that, you know, it's kind of up in the air, but like if colleges cannot have kids on their campus in the fall, I think it's going to be a disaster for them. I mean, I don't know financially how they're all going to come out of this. I mean, you know, it's just as bad for them as it is for us. So listen, we all want the kids to be on campus in the fall.
And they may, you know, like we talked about last week, where they may be on campus, but doing online instruction and limited, and this is what the Brown article says, you know, maybe we'll limit, you know, social activities and things like that. But if you get your students all together, you know, there's no way you're going to totally limit social interaction. And
think about what a great opportunity for business this is for educational consultants, because there is so much uncertainty out there. If you don't do anything except hold these parents' hands and tell them it will be okay, tell them you've got your finger on the pulse of all the universities, that you're keeping an eye out on it so they can enjoy their summer. I mean, this really, I think, is very beneficial, and this should increase your business. It should increase your business because you're the one that knows the answers. You're the one that's doing webinars like this. You're the ones that you know, have connections to the colleges. So I think this is a great marketing and sales tool for educational consultants to really elevate themselves up and to not reduce their prices.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that. I totally agree. I totally agree. So it looks like Diane says that her experience working with international students and colleges don't require the SAT. So Catherine, you guys can all see these. I don't need to read all these, but if you haven't posted, if you just posted to panelists like Ellen, you posted a note about CSU, can you please repost it to the chat and everybody can see it? So that way they'll be able to so, and Suzanne had some comments. So, and the CLT is the classic learning test. Catherine said it went up 1,000%. because colleges will accept that, and they held it last week. All right, so let's talk about, so here's my slide with all the links. I've put them in sort of categories for you. This is on the website, on my blog at cindymcdonald.com. So, you know, there are lots of articles in here. There's an article out of the Atlantic that kind of refutes what Brown's article was. So it's great. There's just been a lot of discussion this week. I've really enjoyed it. So, so now we're going to talk about pricing, and we're going to do this, and we might end up being a little longer today, and, you know, I can hold on and continue for a little bit longer, because I know this might be a topic that people really want to spend more time on. How about you, Jamie?
Yeah.
You have a little time. Okay.
I mean, really, what am I going to do? I can't sit here all day. I mean, this is better than me sitting at home eating those gummy bears, drinking wine like what I've been doing for the last 5 weeks. I got to get out of the house.
I locked the door today, so I didn't have the 3-year-old walk in while I'm doing this forum. Yeah. That happened last week. So it's just
I can stay here for hours.
We're all dealing with this, but I wanted to share. So this is permission from IUCA. Every year IUCA runs a survey to see what people are doing, what the industry trends are, and they usually do it in the spring. So now they're going to, because of COVID-19, they think it would be skewed. I wonder why. So they're going to run it in the fall, but they gave me permission, and the latest one I could find was from 2018. So I just wanted to go over, before we open for discussion, I wanted to give you guys a framework for what are you doing, what are other people doing. So in general, fee structures are diversifying as rates climb. So people are starting to do different things and offer different services. So 32% based on a complete package of services. Only 8% are just doing hourly, and over 60% of people surveyed. And this is in 2018. As you can see, this is from IACA. Both are at 60%. So, really things are changing. When I first started, everybody just did a complete package, and now everybody's doing both. So now, rates continue to climb. 2017 average was $200 per hour, and now they go up to $350. So they're becoming, hourly fees are rising faster than comprehensive. So think about where you're at, what you're doing. As we talk about pricing, where do you put yourself? All right. And what about comprehensive? The range goes from $850 up to $10,000. The more years of experience you have, the more you are able to charge. And there are regional differences. Jamie and I talked about, what she can do in West Virginia, what I can do in Central California is much different than New England or international or, other more urban or affluent places. So take that into consideration as you look at your pricing and things like that. And so those are the things that are industry wide right now. So I'm going to launch my second poll and see where you are. What is your pricing structure? What is your, how are you doing things? And then Jamie, we're going to go into a discussion about that. And then at the end, we'll have you do any updates on the CARE Act and the money from the government. How does that sound?
Yep.
All right, so let me find my poll, and we're going to.
While you're doing your poll, I'm just going to say this, I don't know why it bothers me so much, but I kind of hate when they put this stuff out because I feel like there are so many, when I put out average prices. So it's bothersome for me because, I do a lot with the psychology of pricing. I really have studied it. And not only the psychology of pricing to your clients, but the psychology of pricing for us as educational consultants. And, in my boot camp, I really put a lot of thought into how do you price? Because a lot of people would, you'd be at a conference and you'd hear, can you believe so-and-so charges $25,000 in Manhattan? And, you cannot compare yourself to that. You have to look at the pond that you're fishing in. So when I look at $4,000, of a retainer in the Southeast, which is where I am, I'm going to get $4,000 probably out of a family over 4 years. So I'm not getting $4,000 a year. I'm getting $4,000 over the course of the year. Over the course of high school. And so a lot of times I think you can't take that context. And I know just from our boot camp and people in the mastermind, people start feeling bad about themselves based on what they charge. And I just don't get that. I really don't, because if I worried about what everybody else charges, people, my lowest is $49 a month. If you take $49 a month times 12, I'm getting $500, $600 a year out of them over 4 years. Plus I get test prep out of them, but I play my numbers. If I got 85 seniors and each one of them, I'm bringing the money in. All right, so please don't let the psychology of what everybody else charge mess you up in the head. That's just my little preach.
Well, and I'm glad you shared that, because I agree with you. And I think we do get caught up on, well, what are other people charging? and don't think about the region or, our expertise or the services that we're offering. I don't do therapeutic. We know a lot of people in our industry that do therapeutic, and, from my perspective, the charge and the services for that is just way different, because the service and the risk and responsibility that you take and the time frame you have to, it's a crisis intervention, is so different. So I do not.
Well, and I tell you another thing. I think that, I only do college. I don't do anything else. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you this, part of another thing we do in the boot camp is, if this pandemic has not shown you anything at all, when you only have one income stream and that income stream goes down, you're just messed up, right? So like Krista knows, like when I hired Krista 5 years ago, I was like, okay, I have 8 or 9 income streams and we have to work them all. Mm-hmm. And so what we try to do is I try to spread my base so that I don't have all this money coming in from one place. Now, if you think about it, even if I have an average of $100 a month, which is about what most of my people are paying, and, I like that income stream, so we're all on a monthly auto charge to a credit card. Think mm-hmm. about the fact that I have 85 seniors dropping off at $100, $8,500 a month coming off my income stream with graduation. So I'm like so happy to see my seniors graduate, but then I have to spend the whole summer marketing, because I've got to get a whole nother class coming in. I've got to replace 85 clients. This IEC business is like a little hamster on a wheel. It's like, here we go. And then here we go. Mm-hmm. And I think we have a very unique business model, which is very hard to grasp, really. So.
Well, and that's why I've been an advocate for years. So I just ended the poll. And mostly I just wanted you guys to think about this, and I'll go ahead and share the results just so that you can see kind of, what the bands are. But I've been an advocate for many years of doing financial aid consulting, and I know there's some financial aid consultants on the call too, because then I work with these families for years. I've had families I've done financial aid forms with for 15 years because we've helped all their kids go through school. And it's great because you get to see how the students do in their college, and if they change their major, and how the rest of the kids are doing, and go to their college graduations. So the more you can expand out your services and offer, and I think transition is going to be one of the next big areas that we go into. So it looks like a large percentage, the majority of the people on our call today have that combination, just as we saw in the slides. And I want you to think about what you're paying yourself. That is the big part of this whole discussion, is think about what you're paying yourself. So majority, 43%, said at least they're paying themselves over $100 an hour. So that is, this, sometimes we are not paying ourselves what we think we are. So that's why I posted that question. And we've had a couple of discussions about this already. Do you offer discounts for your services? 47% said yes for particular situations. So not always, not usually is fine. It just depends. And a lot of it is your pricing, and a lot of it is your perspective. It's a lot of your marketing. So much of this, wouldn't you say, Jamie, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just really how you want to do it. I think
your pricing is a reflection of your mindset. I mean, mm-hmm. I really, really do. And, my dear Lori Nash, I love that woman so much. I would eat dinner with her. Every time I go somewhere I see her, I would eat with her and Charlotte Clark, just because I love them. And, and I've said this, and she didn't make any bones about it. She was charging $10,000 a client. She had 10 clients. I charge $1,000 client. I have 100 clients. I mean, like somebody said, I can't imagine having 85 clients. That was just my seniors. I have 85 seniors. So I have kids from 8th grade up, but I have a staff. So as I grow and that, I keep my numbers low, I keep my prices low, my numbers high, my number of clients high, so that I don't have all my eggs in one basket. And then what I do is I take a portion of that business and I put it over with my staff, so that I'm mainly just doing the college planning, and then the staff is helping me. So you can design your practice however, which works best for you. So like what we talk in the boot camp, I only look at overall dollar amount. I don't look at like how you get there. And that really is just what it is. I mean, if I were doing this just as a side job, I mean, it might be, I might have a completely different business model than me saying, hey, this is a business that I'm growing, that I'm going to sell. Because to me, and maybe this is just my business background, I don't see any reason that you start and grow a business without selling it.
Right.
You have to have something to sell. Otherwise, this is just your revenue stream. I'm creating something that I sell, that this is how I get through retirement.
Right.
Because us self-employed people don't really ever put enough in retirement for ourselves.
No, that's very true. Very, very true.
So I just really have such, a thing for pricing. And I mean, when I talk about the psychology of pricing, I think if any of you all go out there and look at my website, I use the 99s. I use the nines. I don't care if you go back and look, the research is there. People will pay $49 before they'll pay $50. They'll pay $99 before they pay $100. And so I psychologically use it. I charge $499 for a prep course. My silver graduation clubs are $49. Then my gold is $99. My platinum is $149. And, my VIP is $199. You put VIP on something, and those big feeling people want VIP package. They don't even know what the difference is, but they want the VIP. So I put it like that. So I just really play to egos, but you're trying to drive people to your middle price. So I don't believe in discounting my prices. I have a range of pricing for different people. If I've got budget conscious people or just cheap people, y'all know you got cheap people, just won't pay because they know it all. Then I've got my $49 a month. And then I've got people who have big egos. I put them in the VIP, but you know what I'm trying to sell? I'm trying to sell my gold package, which is $99 a month, because then I see my kids once every 3 or 4 months. And then, junior year, I up them. So I have different levels, silver, gold, platinum, VIP, and I move the kids in and out of whichever level they're on based on what year they are. So like 9th grade, I can have all my 9th graders paying the $49 a month silver because they get 2 hours a year with me, and then they get 2 hours a year with my staff. Then when they go up to gold, they get 3 hours a year with me, and then they get like 4 hours a year with my staff. So then when I get to junior year, I need more hours with them. So I up them up to the platinum, and then senior year, I may take them back down to silver. So I move my people around in my pricing. So I just feel like IECs get it in their head that, I have to charge a retainer $2,500. Okay, well, you don't have to do that. You can, and people like it. People love it when we say, I think I'm good. We can take you down to the $49 a month and let you spend that money on test prep. People love when they think you care about them and their pocketbook. So instead of discounting your package, have different levels of pricing in your company, and then have different situations as to what they get out of it. Maybe they get less hours with you, maybe they get more one-on-one with you. But like in my head, pricing is a strategy. It's not a reflection of me. It's how I'm going to earn my money. So I always use the 99, the nines, because to be honest with you, pricing is just a perception. It's your perception of what you're charging, whether you've got your worth, and it's a client's perception of what you are. So I think that is another thing. So you can always offer your payments, like, and in the boot camp, we do these things about like the 5 things. There are only 5 reasons why people will not do business with you, and pricing is only one of them. But when my biggest thing is when I'm trying to make a sale, and I've got a mom, and what I think is the men make the decision to, oh, yes, I want you to go talk to Jamie Dickinson, but it's the women that come, but I think it's kind of the man that makes the decision. And I had to get over this when I would have mothers come in and they'd be like, I have to go home and check with my husband. Okay, look, I'm charging you $49 a month. Now, so then I say, when you go to the grocery store, how much do you spend a week on groceries? Oh, you know, $150. You mean to tell me this man, you can have his babies, you can feed his kids, you can spend $150 a month, but you can't commit to spending $49 a month to help you have the less stress? You have to put it in people's heads. Like, and then they'll be like, oh, well, I never thought about it like that. I'm like, he'll be fine with it. Now, Krista, on the other hand, is married and has kids. So Krista kind of says, oh, no, if anything like that, I would discuss with my husband. And then that's when I go, that's why I never got married, because I don't discuss anything if I want to do it. I'm just going to do it. But I think you have to think about the reasons that people will give you excuses that they're not going to do business with you, and you have to come back just right like that. The biggest problem with pricing and selling, so you realize that pricing goes straight into selling. The biggest problem with selling this business that we're in is there's no urgency. There is no urgency until they get to be a senior, right? And then it's urgent. And if you think about us, the only thing we have to go on is our reputation. So if you take a senior and you cram a whole lot in there with them and you're not successful with that senior, your reputation is going to be bad. So that's how come I want it spread out over time, that I can get to know them, know every little hair on their head, because then that's how my reputation precedes me, because I did a great job with these kids. So I don't like just getting seniors. I mean, Chris will tell you, I almost, well, there used to be a time when I would refuse to take seniors because I didn't feel like I could do a good job. But now I've got so much staff, I can take them. But I really worry about just getting a senior and just cramming it all in there. And, you know, then people be like, oh, that's it. And I mean, when you think about pricing, I think Ann Caldwater sent me this great thing about Batman, about this little story about the guy who, you know, she had bats in her house and she tried to get rid of the bats. And so she finally called a exterminator, and his company's name was Batman, and he came over and like he climbs up the ladder and 15 minutes he's done and comes down and hands her a bill for $500. And she's like, you know, you spent 15 minutes and you charged me $500. And he was like, oh, you know, anybody could have stopped up that hole, but you're paying me for 21 years of experience to know where the hole is right now. So that's what you all have to understand. Anybody can Google a college list. I mean, anybody can go out and Google, give me the top 10 business colleges in the country. What we have as an asset that we sell is that we've walked the campuses, we've looked the kids in the face, we've talked to the dean of admissions, we've talked to the presidents, we sleep in their dorms sometimes, we eat in their cafeterias. You are selling firsthand experience. And it's not that you're selling it. People are paying you for your wisdom. Remember, I told you, if all you have is knowledge, people can Google it, but they have to think that you're wise. They have to think that you have a secret that they don't have. And that's the difference. You can take the best 384 colleges of Princeton review and you can walk it. But, you know, I can tell you what the grass feels like at the University of Miami. That's what we are passionate about. That's why we go out and do all of that stuff. So when you start thinking about your pricing, you have to ask yourself, what is your gift? You know, what is your God-given talent? And how can you turn that into money? And I think we have this is why I really concentrate on the business side of business, because I think I've never met an educational consultant that I didn't think was good. I feel like everybody is passionate. Everybody loves helping kids. I mean, you all, we have the best job in the whole country. Okay. Now I teach yoga too, and that's pretty cool, but I love when I'm in here with my kids. And so you have got to understand this is a great job that you have, and you should love it. And if you don't love it, please get out and go do something else, because for those of us that love it, I mean, I think that's really, really a good thing. I mean, I use so much in the psychology of pricing that, like, if I'm going to, I will decide whether I'm going to use a percent or the dollar amount. Mm-hmm. So if you are in my graduation club and you're the gold member, you get 5% off all the other services. So like you get 5% off test prep, tutoring, all that stuff. But if I am going to say how much money I saved you, like if I do, then I would put it in, I saved you $500. Because to me, $500 sounds better than 10%, right? So I mean, we are so wound up here about the language that we use and the pricing that we use and the psychology of what we use. You know, I think you have to figure out what makes you special. You have to figure out what it looks like when you put yourself out there. I know I've got a guy that I'm working privately with one-on-one because through IC Advisors, I do business coaching. And part of what we do in the boot camp is Krista will go out and Google search you. If you're signed up for the boot camp, Krista goes out and does this whole big thing about like marketing, what you think, say, and part of what he did was I was like, we shared our screen. I said, okay, I want you to put your website up there and look at it. And he's like, yeah, it looks really good. And all he had was these people that were graduates. And I said, if it were me just briefly looking at your thing, I would think that you were working with college people who'd already graduated, right? He said, well, like, I never thought about that. So that's how come, like, that's what's so nice about your form, Cyndy. And it's kind of like weird for me because, like, I just feel like I'm talking at them, and I love talking to people. I mean, I'm talking to you, but they're listening. But part of what I love is the synergy of when you get people in a group and they can all just hash it out as like what their fears are, what they're afraid of, what they're scared of. Because I think what happens is when you go to a conference, it's like, how's business? Fine. Everything good? Yes. You got lots of business? Yes. And then you're like, that is such crap. Either that or you're in some other business that I'm in, right? So I just think that, you know, you have got to like pat yourself on the back and say you're doing a good job. And listen, after this pandemic, this is going to be survival of the fittest. It's going to depend on how resilient you are and how much you are in total tune with your business. And if you are not in tune with your business, you better get in my mastermind and get in my boot camp, because otherwise you will not be in business in 2 years. So you cannot do business from now going forward the way you have done it from now in the back. Here's a prime example. We used to try to do online ACT prep courses, and people did not want to pay what I charged for an in-house. So I had to charge $299 for an ACT prep online, $499 in-house. Now, guess what? Since all these kids have been on Zoom doing their classwork, I just threw up an ACT prep course. I'm getting $499 online. People are so tickled that the kids don't have to come in. It's just a whole total mindset in parents. But that was also me and my pricing. I had it in my head that it wasn't as good. So now I'm like, okay, it is good. So there's so much psychology in your pricing. There's so much psychology in your business. And just, you know, tier your pricing. Have pricing for those people who, you know, need a lot of your help. And then have a pricing for people who are very budget conscious. And that way you don't have to discount your price. I mean, you know, I talked to my lawyer. I said, you discounting your prices? He said, hell no. I talked to my CPA the other day. I said, you discount your prices? He said, hell no. So let me tell you all, if you think you're going to discount your price, hell no. Because listen, Cyndy just talked for 45 minutes about the whole uncertainty of everything on college campuses. People need you now more than they have ever needed you. I need my lawyer now more than I've ever needed him. I need my CPA more now than I've ever needed. And when people get to the point where they don't need you, they're not going to pay anything for your price. So just realize what a great, unbelievable service we do for families, because I think that's part of the problem. And I think that we have so many people who are educators who are just so used to giving things away. And if you give things away, you will be broke. And here's another example. When I first did my online test prep, the individual one, I could use however many that I did. So I paid one price. I could put 100 kids, 200 kids, didn't matter. So I had all my clients who I was working with, my graduation club members. I thought, I'm going to give them as an add-on, as a bonus, right? And then I'm going to sell this $29 a week. I'm going to sell this to other people. And I want you to know, 6 months later, the kids who I gave it to for free had not worked on it at all, maybe 1 or 2%. But the people who were paying for the service used it a whole lot. So people, you all got to get free out of your head. Free gets you nowhere. And remember this, cheap ain't good and good ain't cheap. And if you price yourself low and people think you're cheap, people won't perceive that you're any good. So, we've gone over now because I could preach all day, but just, realize your worth. You people are highly, highly educated and passionate about what you do. And that should be reflected in your pricing based on that pond that you're fishing in. And you are not fishing in Manhattan, and you are not fishing in LA. And if you are, then you can price based on that. But don't just look at that average stuff that everybody prices and think, oh, that's just not me. I'll never be able to get $4,800 out of a client. No, maybe not in 1 year, but maybe over 4 or 5 years you will. And that's what matters. And that's how you get other clients, is as you get to know these families, they give you referrals. So anyway, I'm really kind of sad that I don't get to come do this anymore. I just know that we're going to be totally busy and I'm not going to be able to do it. And again, now it's time for all of us to go back to work and all of us to make money. So anyway, I really appreciate you, Cyndy, getting me in all of this, because it's just been really, really fun.
Well, it's been quite a pleasure and quite educational. And I know, from all the comments and the emails and stuff that I've gotten, Jamie, everybody's really appreciated it. And we're a dynamic duo, so I am sad too, but I understand. So, I've got on this kind of as a closing slide. And for some of you, we didn't get to the questions. I see a number of questions. We'll just send out emails to answer individual questions. If it's more of the PPP and all of that, I'll send them to you, Jamie, and then the other ones I'll take care of. But as closing thoughts, how do you really assign value to your services? And this summarizes everything that Jamie has just said. It's not about what other people are doing or even maybe what you've done in the past. And that's why I wanted to you think about, what are you getting paid? What are you paying yourself? And I'm just as guilty as anybody else on this, but it really is like, how much money do you want to, what's your annual income goal? How much money do you want to make? Okay, how much time do you want to spend? Do I have 10 hours a week to do this? Do I have, do I want to do it 3 nights a week, 2 nights a week, Saturdays, 40 hours? How much time do you want to spend? And then when you run that through, that gives you your average rate. So in order to make that money on that amount of time, this is what you have to charge. There's the math is simple. And then you divide the number of hours off in your service, and that's your hourly calculation. If it's not high enough, then you got to adjust something. Either got to adjust your price, got to adjust your income goal. You got to adjust something to make the numbers come out. So you really don't do it so often we do it from the back end. Well, what should I charge? Well, that's not the question to ask. It's, well, what do you want? Now, I have some interviews. I did an interview with, I don't think Barbara's on the call, but Barbara Leventhal, and we talked about this topic. So I'm going to post that on our website. And, it's just an ongoing discussion and things for us to really keep in mind. And we have to have that business mindset, not the educator mindset. And sometimes it's hard. It's hard for us to switch that around. So, you're our role model, Jamie, for doing this. So, we appreciate it. So thank you, everyone. I know we've gone over. Thanks for being here today. I do want to address one topic that came up when I mentioned that I do financial aid consulting. I'm not talking about financial planning. I am not a certified planner. I don't make recommendations for investments. I don't make recommendations for where people move money. None of that. I'm just helping them to understand what the FAFSA is or the profile and why it applies to them. And I don't even fill it out for them, although there are many services. But it's a learning and a teaching opportunity. And it's a way for them to know, okay, I need to go into Cyndy's office and we're going to work on the FAFSA together and do it for my kids every year. So that is strictly.
And you know what, Cyndy, bringing that up, I mean, like, don't you wonder how this whole COVID thing is going to affect financial aid? Like, I was thinking about that the other day. Well, I was eating my gummy bears and drinking my wine, which is totally gross. But which is why I got to get out of the house. But I was like, oh my gosh, you talk about a financial aid appeal, because, you know, we're always prior year. And then, I mean, this is really going to have a big impact. So educational consultants, you're going to have to learn something about financial aid, because we're all going to have to know about it.
Yeah, true. And we'll cover that in a future topic. Don't forget, next week, we're going to talk to admissions people. I think in the future, I'm going to do a role play with initial consultation. So we'll talk about that. And if you have other topics, I mean, we've brought up several, you know, just send them to me, and I'm scheduling things out over the next few weeks. Hopefully I'm going to talk to some other professionals and you'll get to hear other interviews. So Jamie, good luck.
All right, everybody stay safe, stay strong, and stay in business.
That's your parting shot. Bye, everyone.
Parting shot. Stay strong, stay safe, and stay in business.
We're going to put that on our wall. You're going to see that behind my head next week.
All right.
Everybody, thank you. All right.
See ya.
Bye-bye.